Hi, folks, and welcome to the 8th episode of Breach of Etiquette, now brought to you by SixthRing.net. Sixth Ring for all your L5R live event coverage needs. Please go check them out because they're hosting us right now.
We have not sold out, we swear.
Well, that would require money, but...
Yes, exactly.
I'm just saying the fish paste was a good offer.
So with me today are Peter Mindertsma and Daniel Landrum, and we are going to talk about the 2014 Kote season.
Yay!
There's a Kote season? What?
We're just about to start week 3 of the Kote season. We've had, I believe, 8 Kote so far. Big events in San Jose and Feeding Hills, as well as some surprising results out of Reykjavik, Iceland.
I think the surprising Kote event was the one in California where Scorpion won.
That happened?
Yeah, Scorpion won in California.
Yeah, the deck list was posted on Crab Clan Catastrophe, as well as elsewhere, I'm sure. So for those who don't know, there's a couple of big changes for this year's Kote tournaments as compared to years previous. One of the biggest is that the top 2 decks for each Kote are being posted on the official Legend of the Five Rings forums. So if you're curious about what deck won what event, you can head on over there. I believe they're in the deck list forum, but you can head on over there and find those deck lists and see what people are playing. The other big change this year is that clan attendance matters perhaps more than it has in any other year. With the way the Kote point structure is working out, if a clan doesn't make it into the cut but brings 10 to 12 players, they will generate more points for their clan in the overall mega game than a clan that only brings, let's say, 3 or 4 players and actually wins the event.
Winning the event actually does net you more points than necessarily just player participation. So,
Well, it depends on
it can even out, though, is what he's saying.
well, that's true. You got 12 players versus 4 players, but the 4 players actually win the event. That would equal the 12 players that didn't make it into the cut. That's true.
But it means that for those clans where you might not necessarily have a tier 1 deck, you can stay in the mega game and accomplish things by just showing up to events.
Crab.
I was gonna say, there you go, Monty. You just have to get all of the Mantis players in one place.
No. In all the places, like just successively different events, just a troop of Mantis players traveling around
Around the U.S.
and not making the cut. So
Just get a big hippie van and travel the country.
this segues into rather naturally, I think, into where the clans stand right now. So we've had a lot of time to play Ivory Edition, the latest version of the L5R card game. Some stores have managed to get product in. We are a couple of days past the official March 24th launch date, so all of your local stores should have the starters and boosters for Ivory Edition. And what are our opinions so far, guys?
Well, decks that I had built prior to the Kote season didn't necessarily match up to anything that I've seen post Kote season.
How do you mean?
Well, I had actually attempted to make a Dragon Enlightenment deck out of Dragon using Kensai as a backup to it, and having seen play test online, it seems there's more of a Super Friends deck without actually focusing on the Enlightenment out of Dragon that just uses key personalities to take out specific clans, i.e. Kokujin Inexperienced is great against Crane Scouts because he generally will have better chi. Throw a weapon on him, you can steal your opponent's Crane Scouts, disrupt their abilities. Whereas Sorochi XP can take out a bunch of Lions because they'll be able to do combined range 10s off that guy is scary, especially if you get a follower or some protection on front of him. Whereas before, with my pure Enlightenment deck, I could drop 4 rings, but I was never going to get that 5th ring out before he came to the last province.
Peter, you've been playing a lot of Scorpion lately. What do you think? That is always a good sound to hear.
Well, I'm really trying to make the military deck work, but it is not coming together the way that I want it to. I mean, it's working the more I tweak it, but it's nowhere near where it needs to be. the theme they're going, it seems that they're trying to concentrate with the military stuff seems to be Yojimbo. I'm not really following that theme at all, so I think that's why it's falling short.
If you considered maybe importing sort of unaligned guys, maybe like Iwako Seiken or stuff like that, to sort of help augment that military base?
Well, the problem with the military stuff, or at least in Scorpion, is that all of the guys that are really worth something are at minimum 6 gold, and most of them are
Well, I mean,
7 and 8.
that's why I bring up Seiken. He's an 11 gold cost unique samurai, but when you buy him, you get another non-unique samurai in your provinces for free.
It's got to hit that 7 honor requirement, though. Scorpion don't have that.
They've
Yeah.
got
No.
No,
they've got battle resolution.
no.
Well, yeah, they're usually losing battle resolution. That's the whole Scorpion. Like, we lull you in by letting you kill us a lot. And then, oh, wait, we lost. Sorry.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's Scorpion doesn't have enough honor gain to really get up that high fast enough. Unless you can win at battle resolution like on the first swing.
I do feel like the first 2 attacks are extremely important in Ivory Edition, and depending on the resources you spend, even the first attack can be decisive as far as the game goes. A lot of factors matter into that, like if you have more gold than your opponent, you can produce more, so losing doesn't hurt as bad. But in general playtest, it does seem to me like the first couple of attacks are much more important than they used to be.
I'll agree with that.
Because if you blow your hand on the first attack, or you lose a significant army, depending upon what your opponent has, that's sealed the game already.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with the swarm decks that are coming out.
Well, I feel like weirdly a lot of them are a bit more resilient to that because they're just kind of relying on production to get them out of a hole, whereas the sort of more mid-range or the sort of giant crab deck suffers a lot because they lose so much more resources because they have such a higher threshold per guy they're buying. So I am nominally a Mantis and a Dragon player. I've played both of those clans fairly hardcore since I started playing the game. I think I played Crane once, and I played Scorpion at Gen Con the year I made top 8.
Name drop.
What?
Just saying.
I'm just like, that's the only other time I haven't run like those 2 clans, but I really feel like this year I've been running into a lot of decks, and I feel like particularly Mantis has a lot of trouble competing. I know a lot of people talk about the Stronghold and the ability to clear 3 holdings turn 1 and get a lot of production going is very important. But, you know, a lot of folks said that Bamboo Harvesters was never a good recompense for going second. And the Mantis Stronghold effectively gives you a Bamboo Harvesters, which is all it really does. And that being said, I have been surprised recently. I've been running a lot of Jade Mines in the Mantis decks I've been building to sort of better utilize the Stronghold. So the card draw is not bad, but anyway, I think we're getting a bit into the sort of larger meat here, which is, you know, how do each of the clans look right now?
So we've had many an in-depth conversation about this, and what do we always come to on this?
Everybody runs better if you run them out of Crane.
Something like that.
Going first always wins. Well, not always, but
Going first is I feel like it's a much bigger advantage now than it was in Emperor or Celestial. And it wasn't a small advantage in those arcs either.
well, I mean, even with Emperor, going first typically meant you would have a better chance of winning unless you were fighting KJ, in which case, or
Kalani's Landing.
in which case they just KJ you're in Chi Death, you're bored, and didn't matter who was going first or second at that point. But again,
But I mean, like Dragon were very dominant, and they, you know, went second to Phoenix and Crane and Lion. There were a lot of very strong Phoenix decks, of course, But I mean, after excluding turn 2 Lion, I don't think you see a lot of. And until Journey's End Keep experienced and the Madness Stronghold, I don't think you see as much of that in Emperor as you do now.
Well, turn 2 Lion getting neutered did bring back the ability to potentially not have to worry about always fighting Lion off the first, turn. But, I mean, Crab going second against a lot of things, and basically Dragon going second. Dragon being able to attach during the open was what gave them their dominance, even when they went second, because you could have Straight and Gold and your
and
boss.
having Wormbone Katana and Cursed Relic and Yamazaki and Miyamoto Hoken.
But basically, when you were playing Dragon, you were playing cards on both people's turns. So it didn't matter what turn Dragon went first or second. Now
everybody can do that.
Well, true, but there's not as much open gold straightening as there was back in Emperor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you had Luxurious Soaks for off-turn gold. You had Rich Coffers. You had... Or not Rich Coffers. Who's other gold you could straighten? I mean, you had Yamazaki, who for 7 gold basically got you a 6 for 5 back every turn.
Yamazaki was farmed out to quite a lot of clans.
Yeah. So, I mean, you could have off-turn gold in... I mean, there was cards that straightened holdings as an open, which now we might actually want to run, because then that's you getting, another attachment out, or you getting another purchase.
How do you think the banning of exotic farmlands and well-defended farm, how do you think that kind of affected the environments that we're seeing?
Well, prior to that, you couldn't afford to run attachments because attachments were too slow versus,
besides the deck that was dominant and was running pretty much 2 gold attachments.
Well, you were running Ashigaru attachments plus well-defended farms for static force bonuses that didn't require any further investment. Then you get to exotic farmlands, which was a gold for gold bump at 2 well-defended farms.
No, I thought it was every 3.
It was every 3 gold. You get
for every 3
force.
gold, you get 1 force. But if you have 2 if you had 2 well-defended farms out, it was gold for gold pump.
Yeah,
at every 3. You paid 3 gold, 3 force, 3 gold, 3 force. If you had less than 2 well-defended farms, it wasn't necessarily as much as a good investment, but it still could give you a swing of anywhere between 5 and 10 force, which is often enough time to wipe an army, if not take the province.
And then you had the 1-for-1 Ashigaru, which effectively became a 1-for-4.
There you go. And I mean, Season Ashigaru being able to draw your cards.
One of the things I noticed was that Ashigaru as a theme highlighted the importance of efficiency in the arc better than I think anything else has.
Did it a little too well, I think, is why.
I disagree. I don't think the deck was unbeatable, and it certainly had problems. So Lion Tacticians could really kind of break the momentum the deck really needed to win.
I don't disagree that it wasn't a unbeatable deck, but it was a unfun experience. Like, when you were playing the deck, you didn't have to be smart to pilot it. You had to just put out dumb force. Just like back in Emperor Edition, the turn 2 summon a Raido no Oni didn't always win, but it was dumb to fight against, and it didn't necessarily really require much expert planning. Do I see Yachuda? Do I see I give you my name? I summon Raido no Oni. Do I see Amazing Feat? I take 2 provinces from you. Could you have done anything to stop me with that? Maybe. Did you have to build your deck specifically to beat that? Possibly. Did that mean that your deck screwed up against other decks? Definitely. So you can beat Ashigaru, and there are going to be people that are going to say you'd have to do minimum meta-ing on your deck in order to stop Ashigaru, but I think Ashigaru being the crashing wave that you had to rebuff against at no expense was unnecessary. I don't believe that both needed to be banned. Granted, if Well-Defended Farm had been left in the format, that basically meant the death of Ashigaru cards. If Exotic Farmlands stayed, then anything else that gave pumps, like Exotic Farmlands plus Family Dojo, sure, it's more gold investment, but it's equals the same kind of scenario. So sure, Exotic Farmlands should have either had a cap or something else as a drawback, because otherwise it's playing a card to get free force. And like Brian Reese always says, free is bad, and eventually free gets broken. and therefore has to have something be done to it.
I will say something, and this has become more apparent as we've started the Kote season. I really feel like Ashigaru helped to keep some clans, like, and I'll be honest here, like Crab, to be more competitive than they would otherwise be. And so now what we're seeing is this very big influx of Crane, because Crane have like anywhere between 3 and 5 tier 1 decks, depending on how you count. They were something like 70% of the cut in the first week of Kote. Like 30% of all the people who made the cut were not playing Crane.
Because you could get anywhere between 9 and 11 gold out of Crane second turn. And that's only on par with Unicorn. And Unicorn are costed appropriately to fit that theme, whereas Crane aren't necessarily so. I mean, if I can get 11 gold second turn, that's 22 gold going into third turn. That's 3 to 4 dudes going fourth turn. And there's not a lot of other clans that will necessarily be able to match that, because I've got a linear acceleration off my box. And the same thing goes for honor. I've always got +1 honor as long as I've got an honor holding going out there. So I'm getting 2 honor a turn, whereas normally you expect 1 honor a turn versus any other clan running the same holdings.
Yeah. And I mean, there is meta against the Crane gold production. However, that means you end up taking up 2 or 3 spots in your Fate deck.
Well, usually what I've most often seen has been Frost Dragon Festival in Dynasty decks to slow gold production as the meta call against Crane. I'm not sold.
There's a rare strategy that lowers 1 to 2 holdings by 1.
There is, but
I wouldn't run it just
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's there, but it takes up 2 to 3 spots in your deck that you can use for something else.
well, so the larger issue is you only really want to see that on your opponent's turn 2.
Yeah.
And you never want to see it on any other turn, and that's not a great window to want to run a card in.
I mean, especially Frost Dragon Festival, turn 2, turn 3 is the optimal time to limited pop it. But if you don't get it turn 2, turn 3...
I mean, it can devastate the game turn 3.
Yeah, but again, just as many ignoble demises happened first turn in Celestial...
That's true.
Than would happen a first turn Frost Dragon Breath. And then you first turn Frost Dragon Breath me, I don't get hurt. And if you second turn me, even if you second turn me against Crane, that's only limiting my box, because I buy a Productive Mind to first turn.
Oh, never mind.
I've still got 8 gold going into second turn.
Okay, you have to pay full gold for this. Trade embargo, open 4 gold. All non-unique holdings produce 1 less gold.
Oh, does it karmic?
No.
Oh, what's the focus?
You can only play 1, and you can only play 1 per turn.
What's the focus value on it?
Focus value is 2.
Ew.
Yeah.
I would not contemplate that at all.
So,
Like, unless there suddenly becomes a rash of 1-for-1s that beat out the ability for 1 4-for-4, you're never going to be able to hamper your opponent's gold that much anyways. Because a 1 4-for-4 will lose you 1 gold, whereas getting a 2-for-3 or even a Jade, that plus Jade Pearl in and the 1-for-1 that you get off of it, sure, that hurts Jade Pearl in to make you have 7 gold. But I get a 4-for-4.
Yeah, it's not really going to slow down.
Actually, that would make a Jade Pearl in turn 1 play, give your opponent 6 gold turn 2.
That's true. Whereas if I get against Crane, it'd be 7 gold, which still isn't that bad of a start. It's like I got the Jade Pearl in, but I didn't buy anything else with it. And against a 4-for-4 Productive Mind, Nexus of Lies, that's still me having 8 gold. So you waste a Dynasty slot to make me have 8 gold. That's not a trade. That's not a good enough trade off.
So I feel like the answers to Crane, and I say answers because
I think it would be good if you had it on second turn only.
Well, the other problem is that you need to have 4 gold open to play it. And if you have 4 gold open on your opponent's second turn, you didn't buy anything on your first turn.
Exactly.
And you're already going to lose the game.
I guess it really depends on what the gold scheme of your
I
opponent
will
is
say
running.
one of the things that has been absolutely crushing is poor economy decides the game from the get-go now. I mean, it was always kind of decisive in other arcs, but I feel like if you don't double your gold production turn 1 and then double that turn 2, you're in a and your opponent does, the game is basically over.
That's why back in, Jade and Gold, you had the ability to, 1, have free people, or 2, have free gold. And, of course, now with gold pulling, free gold would be bad. But, yeah, there is no real way. If I don't get 4 gold, or even 3 gold first turn, and my opponent sees more than 3 gold, it's basically me twiddling my thumbs until they come crush me.
Yep.
And, God forbid, you don't get any gold turn 1, you're just done. You might as well just scoop your cards right then. Which is why gold or Gifts and Favors was actually an amazing card, because that let me somewhat recover from having a piss poor start. And, I got to... Sure, I had to pitch 4 cards, but that was me better than me having to start effectively on turn 2 and my opponent started on turn 1. So, a search holding may be coming. I mean, again, we were only base set into the environment, and there's plenty of other design opportunities to give us. But right now, with the viability and need of running so many holdings, that's kind of why Crane have a better... Well, Crane and Lion, because Lion are costed off of 3. And since, you're running 3 for 3s as opposed to 4 for 4s, you can buy people with a smaller limited gold set out of Lion than you can out of other clans.
Well, so I would argue that Lion's efficiencies come in that they always go first. Like right now, there's no way to make Lion not go first, and that they have very aggressively costed personalities. For example, 4 gold out of Lion gets me 3 Force, Samurai, and a keyword in usually 2 to 3 honor. So that means my stronghold is going to be active doing things, because a 2 to 3 force bump is worth a fate card right now.
Well,
Versus, like, let's say I look at the 4 gold options in Mantis. The 4 gold options in Mantis are 4 gold for 2 force with an invest 3 to make him 4 force, or 4 gold for, I think, 1 force and repeatable pay to give him a force.
sure. But granted, you want to have 4 gold buy you 3 force out of whatever you're doing, which is why Myokin is such a great splash card, because he's 4 gold, 3 force.
Yes, if you guys are not looking at the Ronin actor Myokin, he's a reprint of
3rd time, I think, now, right?
yes, of the actor who was originally in Celestial Edition, a guy named Kugan. This guy is an all-star for really any type of mid-range or swarm deck. Out of Crab, he's effectively 4 gold for 4 force, because you can keep naming Crab Clan and he'll get the bonus off your stronghold. Out of Lion, he can be your scout or your tactician that you might need.
He's an extra courtier, or
He's a 4 gold 3 force Shugenja, which is pretty important for Phoenix.
I think he's 4 chi, so he'd be a pretty good duelist too.
No, he's too cheap.
Yeah,
Is
he's
he
too
too
cheap.
cheap?
He's
Yeah.
too cheap.
Guess they couldn't make him that good.
But I've been finding that Myokin is a very strong option to include in most any type of sort of standard deck. Ironically, Crane don't really need to use him.
No.
Well, Crane Scouts.
Crane dueling doesn't really get anything out of him either, because they have so many better options.
I mean,
Yeah, he doesn't have a high enough cheat. He doesn't have enough high enough cheat to really do anything in dueling. So
Yeah, but in Crane Courtiers, though, he's your courtier to bit.
Well, in
power
Crane
favors.
courtiers, they have plenty of courtiers like
yeah,
Katata. They have Dynagon. They
Crane
have,
have much more. Crane has much more better personalities than using the actor.
Well, sure. So just Crane Scouts then, military.
But I would argue that, I think Lion get mileage out of him. I think Crab get mileage out of him. I think Mantis get mileage out of him. Anybody who's looking for really just efficient force to gold ratios,
Even Unicorn can use them too because he can give himself cavalry.
Yeah. Dragon, he's another 4 gold, 3 force Kensai.
I generally think that unaligned cards are extremely strong right now. The actor is the biggest one, but a lot of decks have been running the Dark Naga. It's a 9 force Shugenja with 6 chi, so he's
And
almost
a range 9.
impossible to duel. I mean, he does have a range 9, but the other big thing is that, you know, this is a Shugenja that's just really hard to deal with the cards we have available. It's going to be real tough to get a range attack big enough to reliably kill him. And he can kill any personality in the game, sans bumps.
Well, what's the crane that has the experience and unexperienced?
Tamataka?
Yeah.
Well, sure. Going against Tamataka, which you're going to fight Crane. Tamataka XP zeroes him out. Tamataka base gives him -4, which gets him in range of a range attack. Just today, I had a game where I was fighting against the Phoenix deck, running the Super Friends with the School of Wizardry, and Kalamjiak, -2 force upon engage, give another penalty off something else. Suddenly he's 4 force, and then moving in Gensai and range 4 shooting him. So yes, Dark Naga can be an issue if you don't have preparation for him, but Dark Naga can be egged. He can be Imperial Summoned. I mean, you can run Turtle Shell to just leave him there bowed, unless they have a Straighten card for him.
You can just wait for him home.
Nah.
That being said, despite his weaknesses, he is the best unique Shugenja in the arc right now.
Well, unique Shigenja, sure, but
Yeah.
well, actually, I know Asawa Shunru for 10
The
gold.
Master of Void.
Master of Void, draw 2 cards plus either force bonus or force penalty board wide is pretty good.
I will say the Phoenix. A lot of people thought the Phoenix were going to be very not good, but
Yeah, they had a second place.
yeah,
on them, right?
they have a second place. They were in the cut in the first weekend. I think they're performing well above what people expected of them. And I think part of that is because spells occupy a really strange place in the metagame right now, where the traditional attachment meta cards, Unsettling, Gathering, and Suffer the Consequences,
Don't work.
can't actually affect spells.
You can transfer spells with Unsettling Gathering, so you could potentially stop a super unit, but you can't remove it. That's true.
Well, with Unsettling, and it would have to transfer to a
To
Shugenja.
Shugenja, yeah.
But I mean, against the Super Friends deck running out of New Phoenix with School of Wizardry, they're trying to set up the Elven Cavalry plus Searing Siege plus Servitor's Stone plus Flaming the Candles. So you move that Searing Siege off that super unit, it's not got as much bite because it's going to be
Correct.
It'll be forced, but it won't be ranging you. Whereas you throw that off onto an Habana, suddenly Habana going to come to the fight. She's 3 force, you shoot her, no problem.
I definitely like Phoenix with the kind of run School of Wizardry, run all the good Shugenja, and kind of build these super units to take out provinces. I think that works out really well for them, and I think it's very strong in general. I know that I think is it Case that's been playing with Dragon. I know Greg Wong made the cut with Dragon, but and for those who don't know, this is kind of a thing with Greg Wong. Greg Wong has been playing Dragon for longer than anybody else I've even heard about, and he consistently performs well with Dragon, and he's great about posting his decks and getting information out there. But you look at his deck and you're like, how does this even function? How does it is called the Greg Wong deck syndrome, where you will look at one of his decks, he'll build it card for card and never go anywhere with it, but he'll take it and make the top 4 at Gen Con.
So you're saying that whenever he posts his deck list, he needs to post instruction manuals with it as well.
I don't think it, like they're so unique that it's hard to even consider like that kind of thing. Dragon are also a clan that's doing better than I expected. Hojatsu Sensei, with the ability to turn refusable limited duels into limited bow, I think really does a lot to enable Dragon military to kind of go to town.
Oh yeah, I mean, Hojutsu Sensei, when previewed, was thought to be one of the stronger ones based on standard run, weakness exposed, and sanctioned duel were all adding
And like do not delay.
do not delay, or even demonstrating technique turns all those meaningless. Well, not necessarily meaningless, but there now is a edge to the duel's refusal, because usually when refusing, you gave your opponent something, but you got to keep your guy in a relatively safe state. Now refusing and giving that up, and then having to bow, especially when they're going to be coming at you then, and without having move in and straighten, Hojatsu essentially is a lot stronger.
Now, do you think that they're running fallen dueling and that's part of it, or
I don't know that you'd want to run fallen dueling unless you were running all fallen dueling, because again, Dragon isn't necessarily one of those clans that has enough dash honor requirement people to be able to get around running fallen duelists. Because if you're running Hideo, if you're running Natoshi, if you're running Takasho, or anybody else, or Nakaru, those are all three honor hits. And when you start at 4 with Hojatsu, that's going to get you out of being able to buy any Dragon Prime personality unless you keep building a buffer for yourself. But that means having to be mindful of your honor versus what you're buying for Fallen Dueling. And again, with Fallen Dueling, it was the fact that you didn't necessarily care about your honor a la Scorpion. That's where it's coming from. Or Crane, where, you had enough honor to begin with.
Yeah, and with everybody, I think, is running Nexus for the most part. So
not really? I think the more typical plays you're seeing Productive Mind and Jade Pearl lands in the same deck, because Jade Pearl empties an extra slot out of your deck and Nexus
Right.
doesn't.
Well, but Nexus, with Egg of Panku becoming such a big factor, or being spread out a lot more, if they egg a fallen personality and you have a Nexus out, especially against Crane, that's a 6 honor hit. And against Crane, a 6 honor hit can be enough for being able to swing the favor, or potentially early on enough stop them from being able to buy people. So,
well, it could be more if they have multiple Nexus out, right? Or
and
it
if you
only
do
go
have
once.
Nexuses,
No,
yes.
they will
Yeah, they
each
stack.
respond. Yeah.
So that's a potential of like 12 honor hit on one shot.
I will also say that Lion has been coming out very strong as an answer to Crane. I feel like a lot of Crane, maybe this is Crane players, but it seems like Lion get to make a lot out of making Crane go second. And going second Crane is still a very scary deck, but it feels to me like Lion's worry matchups aren't necessarily Crane. Does that jive with what you guys have seen, or?
I've never gone first against Crane, so I can't say.
I've always... every time I've gone first against Crane, it's because it's the mirror, and giving Crane honor the ability to get the favor faster, and plus that +1 prominent strength is always an annoying factor.
Maybe it's just me then, but I've found that though Mantis are in a really tough spot right now, ironically, it seems like I think they do have a favorable matchup against Lion, thanks to guys like Saruchi and Tochiko, the Boar clan from Coils of Madness that they have. I would say in the testing I've done, it seems like they're in the 60-40, maybe even 70-30 range against Lion, but they fold really hard to Crane, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Well,
It's hard to see a whole lot of things that are beating Crane military. And I think I've seen Scorpion Dishonor beat the Crane military a couple of times, but
and there
not
was
consistently.
the air quotes Crane air quotes Dishonor deck that was just running Scorpion Dishonor out of the Crane stronghold.
Yep. Because everything works better when it goes first, apparently.
Yes, everything does work better when it goes first.
well, one thing haven't touched on yet, I think, is Spider. And surprisingly, from what
They had a top 8, didn't they, this past weekend?
They did.
from what I'm seeing, running just basically a bunch of cheap boxables with large attachments with Spider seems to actually be a pretty effective element. Like running Sigmai and Lao She and the
How are they losing the honor for Sengmai?
Slave Pits.
Oh.
Slave pits. There's the 4 gold cavalry personality from the Summer Compact loses them a point of honor. So they can effectively lose enough honor to try to get out Singmai and then load up an elephant cavalry or go to town with camel mounts, something to be able to get around and try to sleaze and then just force out the opposed fight.
Are any of them running the Oni, like Megumi no Oni or something like
Oni.
that? Okay.
The Oni force to honor
It's
hit.
6 force for 7 gold.
But it's also a 5 honor hit, and you can get 2 of those, and then suddenly you can't buy anybody else in your deck, or buy your gold for more than 2.
Just go Ogre Bushi.
Ogre Bushi.
Ogre Bushi is so. I mean, sure, you can run Ogre Bushi, and I'll be glad to fight that fight, and then I'll just I'll beat him because Ogre Bushi, no attachments, or no items, and
No followers.
No followers. So what? He can do spells. Yeah, make the Ogre Bushi Shigenja. Do that. I will give you that game if you can make him cast spells against me. But I don't think there's enough unaligned Shadowlands creatures. Well, granted, there's one. There's not a box to run them out of because there's not a box to absorb those hits, especially.
I
with
think there's
Scorpion.
only 2 Oni in the game right now.
There's 3.
There's Gekido. There's the guy who was in Matter of Honor.
And Oni no Hatsusuro.
Yeah, the one
I
that makes
keep
his spawns.
forgetting they brought him back.
Yeah,
Makes his little spawns.
makes his spawns.
You even got one of his little spawn tokens.
Yep. And then there's the you make the Onyx Oni champion with the Shadowlands Dueling Grounds. Or the Onyx Dueling Grounds.
If that was repeatable, like I would love to repeatedly just sack guys to make a 5 force Oni. I would do that every day.
Exactly, because it's 5. I'm going to sacrifice this little, hey, Myokin, you're Oni now. Rawr. There you go, Oni. Myokin, the best Oni actor ever.
Hey, Komashika, you're a 5 force Oni now?
Right? There you go. Hey, Doji Danagon, you took the favor for me, now you're an Oni. It's crazy how this works.
Theoretically, wouldn't the Oni be bowed because of Shilabi?
You get an
No,
Oni.
because you destroy you destroy the personality and create the 5 force
Oh,
Oni.
there you go. So, what Kote are we excited to attend this year? We're obviously in Austin, Texas, so that does limit our range in terms of events we can go to.
Because it takes a country length to get out of the state.
To give you an idea, the closest Kote to us is the Dallas Kote in May, and that's going to be about a 3-hour drive. And that's the closest one besides the one that we're running here in town. Past that, the next closest is the one this weekend is it Tulsa?
It's Tulsa.
So that's a mere 7.5 hours to go for a Kote for us. And past that, we're having to drive out to I think the other one that's in our list that we can do is
New Orleans.
Metairie, the New Orleans Kote.
Is Houston having one?
Houston did not bid. It's my understanding that they're going to try and get something together for the Winter Court this year. I hope they do because I wouldn't mind going out to Houston to play some cards.
It's been a while.
It has been a while.
Yes.
They have apparently thrown the gauntlet down at us for Tulsa and Dallas. We're going to be doing some 3v3 Team L5R, I suspect. Because when they ask for it, well, by God, you've got to give it to them. So I know that I'm really excited about Tulsa this weekend. I think it's going to be a pretty great event. John Akey is running it, and
Oh, Akey.
Are you familiar with the Akey?
I am familiar with the Akey. I am very familiar with the Akey.
Tell us of the Yankee.
I'm pretty sure you know what there is to know about the Akey right now.
I seriously have no idea.
Really? Neither of you have met John Akey before?
I mean, I've met him when I've gone up to Tulsa, but I don't really have any personal experience with the man.
I met him in as much as I gave him $30 to participate in one of his Kotes. Wait, no, that was the year I think Bob Martin was running it. I don't think I actually met Akey that year.
Akey's about as passionate as you are about L5R, Manji.
Oh God, we do not need to get these two men in the room together.
No, you don't.
Which we're apparently doing this weekend. So,
Well, just after a 7.5 hour drive, it'll be fine.
That's fine. I can gag you.
Aki might like it if you do it to him.
That's fair enough.
Thus reinforcing the fact that there's a lot more than just bromance in this game.
I can say I am really excited.
Aki, I
about
say
the-
this all with love, I swear.
I'm also really excited, obviously, because I'm running it, the Austin Cote that's coming up here at April 12th. We're going to be running it at a local game store that's been supporting L5R in a big way for a very long time. And
And that will be my first go-to. Ever.
it will be fun. We are doing a cube draft as our side event. We did a cube draft last year, and I think about 16 people got to play in it.
Total over the 2 days that we played, we did drafts for it. We got 16 people to play.
I could hear Brian Reese and Briscoe's reactions as they cracked packs, and I was in an RPG room across the hall.
I mean, when you get to look at all the uniques that Manus and Unicorn have had over the years, it is quite fraught with some BS.
I think there was a pack that had, like, I think it was Moto Chagatai, Rampage, XP4, Rampage, and something else just catastrophically stupid that was in that pack. And I remember, I think it was Matt Demand. No,
No, I don't think Demand was in doing the.
it might have been Stephen LaFollette because I know he did it.
Yeah.
Somebody said, like, I can't pass anything in this pack. I can't do it.
I'm keeping the pack. If there's the rest of you, pass the rest.
The cube draft is it's a lot of fun. For those who don't know, it's played just like a normal draft, except that the packs are made up of cards that our playgroup has kind of put together into a sort of one mostly coherent format. I will say we've kind of put in a lot of the craziest, most broken cards in the game's history, but it's largely a singleton format. So, you're going to have one of these effects, and it's going to be really broke, and you're going to feel really good when you use it. And if your opponent kills it, which won't be that hard, well, that's it. That's all you got. It's really a lot of fun. And just this week, we announced our pre-registration bonuses. So folks who pre-register are going to be getting preferred access into our cube draft. It's going to be starting after Swiss rounds because people are going to want to be playing in our main event and doing a bunch of other stuff. And in addition to that, we're very excited to say that if you pre-register, you'll also be getting an Eternity card pack for the Austin Cote for as many as we have them to give out. So I think we're trying to get, I want to say we're going to try and have 30 by then. So hopefully, people sign up and we get to hand out all these cards because I know that some folks are having some trouble getting these into their stores. So I hope that people can do this, and I hope that very soon I'll have pictures for actual prizes for the Cote. It should be. I'm really happy with how they turned out this year. So, do we even know, like, Metairie? Have they announced anything for Metairie besides like when it's happening?
I don't believe so. Let me check real quick. Oh, magical internets.
So while he's doing that,
You should come to Dallas, Peter.
I'm going to try to go to Dallas. It's in May. What day? May? What day?
May 15th, I want to say.
I should be able to make that.
Yeah. I'm really excited because their honor event was a quiz last year, and I was so close to winning it, except I sucked, and then I didn't win it.
You didn't even go last year.
Yeah, I did.
To Dallas?
Did I? Oh, no, I was at Cincinnati that
You were in
weekend.
Cincinnati that weekend.
No, I think of the year before.
Yeah,
I think.
last year Doug won. Doug D apparently knew enough pieces of
Doug D won the...
Yeah, Doug D won the honor contest where he named like 50 pieces of art based
That
on
that is insane.
Yes, I just realized that.
That is inhuman. Well, it's Doug D, so that's not surprising.
Yeah,
Doug
I've
D,
only met him a handful of times, and I can already tell he's like he seems like he should be the kind of person who should go on Jeopardy every week.
He's just the man that's just standing outside your bedroom, stroking your hair. Totally not Edward. Even though he kind of
What-
was. I'm sorry,
I'm
Doug.
going to move along from this topic right now.
I'm just saying.
Right now.
He doesn't know how to quit you.
So,
Okay, so what do you think so far in Ivory are the top 5 cards that everybody's gonna need so far?
Akagi Sensei, Exquisite Palaces of the Crane, Daidoji Tamataka XP.
I mean, in general.
Not just
Yeah,
Crane.
what am I saying?
Uh-huh.
All right. Fair. I have been really blown away by For the Fallen. For the Fallen is just the best force pump in the game right now. It targets 2 guys. For a lot of clans, it's real easy to make that +3 force to 2 opposed personalities. It's got a 3 focus value, so you can still tactician it for a 3 force unopposed. It's incredibly strong. I think most everyone should be running Ring of Earth, not only because it's a very effective answer to several actions in the Crane's tool shed, but it's a very strong action in general. Top 5 out of that. Come one at a time. Because if it didn't exist, we wouldn't even have dueling as a thing right now to worry about. It's pretty much always going to kill at least 1 unit, and if it gets to kill more than 1 unit, you might be winning the game. It's a very, very strong card. It's really I kind of have to put these as 2 of like the same slot, but Productive Mind and Jade Pearl in. These can be found in your Ivory Edition starters. They're cards from Gates of Chaos and Aftermath, the sets respectively. And if you don't have a playset of them yet, you need to hunt down a playset and get them, because they're going to be a part of tournament decks for at least the rest of this year. And frankly, I'd be surprised if we see them getting replaced next year. They're very, very strong. They're very well costed. They're very good cards. What else has been kind of... I am just going to have to say Exquisite Palaces of the Crane, because it's... I mean, I know it's clan exclusive. I get that. But it is the best stronghold in the game right now.
I'm not counting strongholds. I'm just talking about your actual deck. So you've named 5 or 6. So
Ega Panku XP. It swings games.
It's... I think it's stronger out of clans that are going first than out of clans that are going second. Because when I was running it out of Mantis, I consistently had difficulty justifying the expense.
When the justification for the expense is to take 2 provinces versus...
Which is easier to do out of Crane or Lion than it is out of something like Mantis.
I'm running it in Phoenix. I'm running it in Dragon. I mean, I run it in Crab. I could see running out of Spider. Anybody that can put together a decent swing, and it's just using it to remove your opponent's lone defender. Doesn't matter if you went first or second. If they've got 1 guy out and you can pay 10 gold to unobstructedly...
Actually, wait. Over the Crane Stronghold, I will say Mukin, run an actor.
There you go.
Everyone should be running Mukin. I'm just going to go ahead and say that.
Yes. But Egg strips a defender, stops them from being able to attack with that person the next turn, as well as gives you an extra attacker.
I'm not saying it's not good or anything like that. It's just been... When I was playing it with the gold schemes I was running, I had a lot of trouble affording it, and then feeling like when I did play it, I got usage out of it.
I'm just saying, for me, that's one of my top 5 is Ag XP.
All right, so what's the rest of your top 5?
All right, rest of my top 5, Kalam Jiak, 3 gold for
From
4 force.
Aftermath?
From Gates Chaos.
Was it Gates?
Yeah. Elephant Cav. Because paying 8 gold for 4 force and not being able to be shot except for by range 6 is pretty nice. Haruma Nakaru.
XP2?
XP2. Just because...
The Flesh Eater?
The Flesh Eater. The Mr. Oh, Crane just Crane dueling scoops. That's nice.
Well, and fallen dueling gets to be a thing because you can't do anything to 9 force when it's a dual stat
I mean, as long as you don't challenge somebody that has 5 or more chi, you can kill anybody. Sure,
for 2 gold.
for 2 gold. I mean, he's the flesh eater. What do you expect?
All right. That's 4.
That's 4. All right, and then number 5 probably would have to be a little bit of oddball, but Family Sword, because out of Crab, everyone being Hida, there's always 3 force being swung around for everyone. Throw it on Oushi, bow somebody, throw it on Sayuki, boom, you go attack. You've got 8 force.
I will say Sayuki was a lot better before they clarified that weapon bonuses don't actually trigger him.
That weapons are actually modifiers as opposed to bonuses.
Yeah.
Even though there's a card in Ivory Edition that says double the bonus from your weapon. So, is it a bonus or is it a modifier? I don't know.
All right, well, folks, I hope you've enjoyed this glimpse into the 2014 Kote season. I really encourage you to go to L5R.com and check out the Kote schedule and go to your local Kote. You will have a lot of fun. There are events that are really unlike all the other card game tournaments that get run, and I've had a blast at every Kote I've gone to. So please, if you take nothing else away from this, go to your Kotes and have a ball. And I think that's how we're going to end this episode of Breach of Etiquette. As always, Oots!
Banzai!